And look who's coming up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this fun Friday edition of Ultimate Fantasy Sports Daily. We're going to get wacky. We're going to entertain you. We're going to educate you. We're going to hydrate, as you can see. And we're going to talk fantasy sports in the most fun way. Thank you so much for joining me on this Twitch program. My name is Dean Millard, and I will be your host for the next 2 hours of insane fun. We're going to talk baseball with Mike Wilner of the Toronto Star. You can find him on Twitter at Wilnerness. Lots to discuss when it comes to the races, fantasy baseball, and more in the American League. Ross Mongrue is the GM of Legion. They're the defending UFAFL champions, the most realistic fantasy football league that you will find. The Columbus Blue Jackets are in our Dobber hockey preview today. We will also have Trademaster 3000. Top 3 question of the day, games to watch, and the fantasy doctor is in. Yes, trust me, folks, I am a doctor. Now, I'm more of a Dr. Nick kind of doctor from The Simpsons, but trust me, I will fix your fantasy team. The doctor is in every Friday. The fantasy doctor will be here, along with a terrific guest list we're going to have a lot of fun today. On Fridays, we go a little bit away from the sports specific stats, things like that, when it comes to our top 3 and our question of the day. So we will have a little bit of fun with all of that as we go, and let's get into our question of the day right now. And this is something that gets asked a lot, and you know, it's kind of interesting. And, you know, your answer might change depending on when it is. But what is your favorite time of the sports calendar? Oh, okay. So I can never pronounce this. Is it Maria? Is it Maria? Anyway, thank you so much for the cheer bits on Twitter. I have sometimes trouble reading the double names. So anyway, thank you very much for the cheer bits. Love everybody joining in on Twitter, and hope everybody's ready for the weekend. So what is your favorite sports time of the year? You can chime in. Oh, it's Maria. There we go. Maria, thank you so much for the cheer bits. On Twitter, you can chime in at Duck Millard, at UFS Network. What is your favorite sports time of the year? Like, right now, probably, because you have everything going to be happening at the same time. Also, though, I'm a big U.S. Open fan, so this is my favorite time of the year. You have the anticipation of hockey, baseball, football, the U.S. Open ends, and then or hockey, basketball, and football, and you have the baseball race. October is great. The only thing I don't like is it's going to be freezing cold here. Like, people are already complaining it's 15 degrees Celsius. So, you know what? I love this part of the year. Don't get me wrong. I love the Stanley Cup playoffs and getting out, but I'm more inclined to stay in, cook a big pot of chili, watch football, basketball, baseball, and hockey at this time of the year, and the U.S. Open when it runs out. So I want to know what you think what is your favorite sports time of the year? You can chime in on our Twitch chat. You can also get me on Twitter as well. Now we're getting some fun things coming in for Trademaster 3000 as well. and our top three, which we are going to get to right now. And we're having some fun today because it's the Sandman's birthday. Oh, yeah. How can you... Adam Sandler is in my top 5 of favorite actors because he makes me laugh. So what we're doing today, in honor of the Sandman's 56th birthday, is we are asking you your favorite Adam Sandler movies. You know what? I don't even think I have an Adam Sandler drop in here. That's really weird. He's like, there's got to be something in here that says Adam Sandler, but I can't find one. So anyway, I'll get something. What are your top 3 Adam Sandler movies? Jamie Thomas, who's a guest every Monday, chiming in. Happy Gilmore, Wedding Singer, Anger Management. I'm going with Big Daddy. I laughed so hard at this movie with my friend Darla. I thought we were going to get kicked out of the theater. It's one of those cheap theaters in Red Deer. It was just, just the crazy eyes from Steve Buscemi when he goes down in the cart. It was just so fun, or rollerblades. Happy Gilmore, obviously. The price is wrong. Bleep. You know, we don't swear on this show.
What are we?
Werewolves, not squirrels.
I loved Funny People because it showed a different side of Adam Sandler. There's so many great comedies, but I loved Funny People just for the entertainment or the change, the difference. Daddy Omes says NFL playoffs. So that's his favorite time, or that's their favorite time. Hustle was a terrific movie, they say. Great chemistry with Bo Cruz. Joncho Hernan Gomez. I really want to see Hustle. I love Sandler's, he signed a deal with Netflix to just pump out a bunch of movies. Ridiculous Six was silly and funny, but I like the characters. On this list, Big Daddy, love Mr. Deeds. I love Mr. Deeds. You know who I love is John Leguizamo. Very fast in Mr. Deeds. I like it. Not a lot of people like it. I think Sandler is awesome. So keep them coming. Your favorite Sandler lists. We will get into the sports talk right now with your big stories of the day. Okay, so today is the deadline for Lamar Jackson, his unofficial deadline with the Ravens front office to get a multi-year extension. And it seems like Lamar is really drawing a line in the sand here. It's all or nothing, representing himself, looking for Deshaun Watson guaranteed money. And then the Ravens on the other side saying, no, we're not going to cave to public pressure. If this goes, it's going to be a bunch of one-year deals. And how, betting on yourself is one thing in some sports. Betting on yourself in football, I just don't think it's a good idea. Because so many guys get injured. That freak injury. Yeah, it's for me, it's scary. Signing a lot of these one-year deals, especially as a quarterback that plays that style. Now, this year it's $23 million. Franchise tag would get him to just over $45 million. And then if they did it again in 2024, it'd put him up over almost $55 million and then put him in line overall for $122.8 million. So I just think betting on yourself as a quarterback like that is not a good idea. I'm not saying he doesn't have the talent, but how do you control injuries? Sign long-term deals if you're going to play football. Darren Waller, by the way, and the Raiders are close to an extension to keep the 29-year-old a few more years in silver and black. It's funny. You got Lamar Jackson on one side, and guys in salary cap leagues are chewing their fingernails, wondering what the heck's going to go on. And you got Lamar Jackson representing himself. So the Ravens are loving it. The Raiders, not so much. Drew Rosenhaus is the recently hired agent for Darren Waller. And this is going to try and put him atop of George Kittle. $15 million AAV and $40 million guaranteed are the current highs at the tight end position. So Waller's going to want more than Kittle. And who would you bet on getting the deal they want? The guy with Drew Rosenhaus as his agent or the guy representing himself? And I'm not taking anything away from how smart Lamar Jackson is. He's not a lawyer, an NFL agent. He has not negotiated thousands of these contracts. I know you don't want to give up the percentage, but you're going to make more, in my opinion, with a really strong agent, in my opinion. Now, watch Lamar Jackson sign a massive deal before the end of this show, and I will have a lot of egg on my face. Larry Fisher chiming in. Happy Gilmore for me, followed by the Water Boy and Hustle as a new entry, I think. I'm going to have to watch Hustle. Maybe that'll be a weekend thing. Waterboy was good. Bobby Boucher. It's pretty good. You Can Do It with Rob Schneider. I like that one as well. So keep those coming in. Top 3 today. Top 3 Adam Sandler movies based on the Sandman turning 56. What about, we could have did all sports movies because what's the one where he goes to prison and then he plays football? Burt Reynolds was the original Longest Yard, that one. So we could have done all sports movies with the Sandman, but we'll expand it to everything. And our question of the day, what is your favorite time of the sports year? Spring, fall, summer, winter, the dead of winter. You know, my least favorite time of the year was dead of the winter, January, February, Saturday nights. Oilers get pumped 6-1. Me and Hernan Salas or Connor Halley sitting in the studio talking about the power play going 0 for 6 and the next guy that's going to be the superstar. That's the part of the season that sucks. That's the part of the season that really sucks. So Waller looks like he's getting a new deal. Lamar Jackson, who knows what's going to happen. This is the deadline. And the Bills bully the Rams last night. Like Cam Akers owners in fantasy, they're just filing lawsuits against the Rams and head coach Sean McVay. 3 carries last night for Akers.
Child, please.
This is collectively how Cam Akers fantasy owners feel.
Am I hot? Yeah, I'm hot. That's a crock of crap.
Even Gretter thinks that as well. So that was the Buffalo Bills came as advertised last night. Like they were shot out of a cannon. And Gabe Davis comes through, just like Matt Bove told us the other day here on this show. Matt Bove covers the Bills in Buffalo. This is what he had to say about Gabe Davis. Oh, that's not working. We got a bad connection there. We'll get that sorted out. Anyway, he said, take Gabe Davis over Stephon Diggs because Diggs is going to get a heck of a lot more coverage. I don't have that for some reason. Didn't transfer over. So anyway, we'll fix it. He said, take Gabe Davis. And what happened last night? Gabe Davis rings in, hauls in the first touchdown of the game. So when we look at last night's contest, and here are the guys that we had as start sits, and I'll just tell you who the start sits are. We didn't start Singletary or Cook, and we didn't start Higbee. Everybody else was a starter for me. Andy McNamara said, don't start Henderson. Well, if you didn't start Henderson and you have Akers, you are really upset because look at that. 0.45 fantasy points in the UFAFL for Cam Akers last night. That is awful.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
Like Cam Akers owners during that game last night were just exploding steam coming out of their heads.
It's some bull crap.
Indeed. I can't believe that. It was weird. Like, you thought, okay, it's just the start to some weird style, you know. But they outthought themselves again. Just give the ball to the best guys. Now, you look at the quarterback comparison. That Stafford had an okay night, but Josh Allen comes through as advertised, almost a 50-point night. Devin Singletary actually came through with almost 10 points. So I said to sit him. James Cook had negative 0.6 points. So if you did sit him, that was a smart move. Stefan Diggs, Gabe Davis, both strong nights. Diggs 26.2, Davis 18.8. You got to love your number 2 receiver getting almost 20 points. That's pretty good. Dawson Knox didn't put up the production again. This guy's probably only going to help you when he scores touchdowns. As for the Rams, as mentioned, Stafford, not too bad. You know, obviously you'd like a little bit more. Oh, Daddy Omes says Diggs should have had 2 TDs last night. Individual defensive players, IDP, Von Miller, he was sharp last night. Akers, just, again, mind-blowing. Darrell Henderson, pretty good night. 14.25 points. Not sure you should expect that. And if it goes that way the whole season, then something is bizarre.
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
Cooper Kupp led all players, non-quarterbacks, 33.3 points in UFAFL last night. Allen Robinson was disappointing. You know, we hyped him up as a big number 2 guy. Disappointing that he only comes out with 2.2 points. And I would have sat Ty Higbee, and he would have put up 10 points. So the 2 guys that I would have sat last night would have had over 20 points combined. But the rest of the guys, you know, and everybody was playing Cam Akers. That wasn't even, you know, everybody was going to play Cam Akers. There's no question. And you still should. I'm sure that's not going to be the case all season. It better not be, or else really strange things are afoot at the Circle K. And really, that would be some kind of bizarre season. So how did your fantasy night start out? How did your fantasy season start out? Chime in on the Twitch chat. Tony says Vaughn was a monster, trying to win a Super Bowl with 3 different teams. The only reason he went to the other side. He was an absolute beast last night, as he usually is in fantasy. All right, we are going to chat some baseball when we return. Mike Wilner is going to join us. He of the Toronto Star, covers the Blue Jays. This has been a interesting ride. The American League East, or the American League in general, far from over. And a day off for the Jays yesterday, and now they start a stretch where they think they only have 2 days off for the rest of the season. But a good start in September so far for the Toronto Blue Jays. Can they keep it going as they start a series against the Texas Rangers tonight? They've definitely got some skill going on. We'll talk with Mike Wilner in just a couple of minutes. Get his thoughts on how things have gone as of late and what he expects for the stretch drive. This is Ultimate Fantasy Sports Daily on twitch.tv/Ultimate Fantasy Sports. We are back with Mike Wilner in just 1 second. right, 23 minutes past 4 p.m. Eastern. This is Ultimate Fantasy Sports Daily. My name is Dean Millard, and just waiting for Mike Wilner. Covers the Blue Jays for Toronto Star, also a podcaster extraordinaire. He'll be signing in very shortly. We'll be talking about this wild stretch, 30, 27 days, whatever it is that we might be having here in the final stretch drive of the season, which for some people might feel maybe a little bit different because there's a little more teams, but I think it's just as exciting personally. And I honestly can't wait to see the stretch drive. All right, we have Mike joining us now. Mike Wilner, you can follow him at Wilnerness, baseball columnist, also a podcaster with the Toronto Star, and certainly, Mike, no shortage of excitement in the last little while. The reason there wasn't excitement yesterday is because the Jays had a day off, and I'm thinking that one day doesn't make a massive difference physically, but maybe mentally in this stretch, the day off was nice for those players, wasn't it?
Oh, I think both. I think they really, off days are rare and precious in Major League Baseball. They've only got 3 the rest of the way. So that was the reason that series in Baltimore had a doubleheader Monday, and they didn't play one game a day for 4 days because they really wanted to keep that off day. And yeah, off days are absolutely huge. It's so funny because I don't think people miss hockey and basketball when they're only playing 3 or 4 times a week on the days that there are no games. But baseball, right, you're just so used to it being every day, right? And in a pennant race, and they're playing well, and that's the kind of time where you want to keep going. But 3 off days in September are going to be very, very welcome. 2 more now.
Yeah, good start so far. 5-1 in September, 2 of 3 from Baltimore, but getting excited is one thing, looking ahead is another. Still 6 more games against Baltimore, including that one to end the season. Is that really where that wild card will be decided, do you think?
No, I don't think so. And just to clarify, they're 6-1 in September, 3 out of 4 against Baltimore in this series. Right. But I do think that they'll be home and cooled by the time those last 3 games in Baltimore happen. I think that now they've established a bigger lead in the wild card, 4.5 after that win over the Orioles on Wednesday night, and I really don't see why they can't maintain that lead going into the final series of the year. They're only playing, they only have 6 more games, I think, against bad teams. They play Texas this weekend and Boston later, and then it's all Baltimore, Tampa, Yankees, Philly the rest of the way. But I do think that they can maintain that lead, and I don't see Baltimore winning 90. Baltimore's not going to win 90 games. There's no chance Baltimore wins 90 games. So I think that they hope that those last 3 games of the season won't matter as far as securing a playoff spot. They'll likely matter for whether you're wild card 1, 2, or 3, but I don't think they'll matter as far as knocking out Baltimore.
Who would have thought Baltimore would have won this many games, though? This is Baltimore and Cleveland are crazy surprises.
Yeah, good for them. Good for both of them. And Baltimore has accelerated its timeline, and they're going to be a problem. And it's really possible that the next 3 or 4 years, the American League East will be Baltimore and Toronto, which is wonderful. Never count out Tampa Bay, and the Yankees always seem to find a way to do something. But I had thought Baltimore was 2 or 3 years behind the Blue Jays pace, and it appears as though they're maybe, a year and a half back.
Okay, so Alek Manoah the other night, I thought was extraordinary, as he has been. Fantasy owners are loving the production he's got, obviously Jays fans. But even more important than just getting that win was, I think, eating up those innings. You mentioned it, the doubleheader, the bullpens were taxed. Just how important was a guy to go out there and say, I'm the horse, I got you, get on my back?
It's great to know that he's that guy who you can even count on to do it ahead of time, right? You can sort of arrange your bullpen a little bit the night before because you know he's pitching tomorrow. It wasn't as big a deal for Manoah on Wednesday because of the off day on Thursday. So Jordan Romano was fine. Yimi Garcia could have pitched, Simber could have pitched, whatever. But just to have him go out there and haul innings like that and dominate in the way he did, I think it was 20 of the last 21 hitters retired by Manoah, and the only one that didn't, he had struck out and the ump missed the call and there was a double on the next pitch. So just to have a guy who, in the back of your mind, you're still thinking he's never pitched this much before. Mm-hmm. This is a career high in innings. He's never, he's thrown in September once, and we had to be careful with him last year. So you still got all that going on in the back of your head. To have him go out and shove on September 7th is massive.
And now, you got Justin Verlander, Shane McClanahan on the IL right now, two of the guys that were talked about maybe the most for the Cy Young. Does that open in the door a little bit for guys like maybe Manoah or Kevin Gausman, or are they still, while they've been massive to the Blue Jays, are they in the conversation for the Cy Young now with those guys injured?
I think they're in the conversation. I don't know if Gausman is, because I don't know how many voters will just look at his FIP and how unlucky he's been this year as far as batted ball contact, but or batted ball luck. But I don't know that the Cy Young should be voted on those stats, like what should have happened but what didn't happen. It's an award for what was accomplished this year, not what should have been accomplished this year. Like Gausman is the leader in all the fielding independent metrics because he's had such a crazy batted ball luck, but that's what's happened on the field, and that's what the award should be determined on, I think. But I think they're in the conversation. I think Manoah creeps a little bit harder into the conversation, and depending on how his last 4 or 5 starts go, with Verlander and McClanahan hurt, he could really make an impact on the race. And man, wouldn't that be something in his first full season in the major leagues?
Yeah, so incredible. I think when most people looked at this Blue Jays roster coming into the season, they were like, yeah, this team's going to hit. What's going to happen with the rotation, with the bullpen, and there's so many things. But what has impressed you the most about Jordan Romano and the way he has progressed this year for this Toronto Blue Jays team?
I mean, he's a beast. It's really kind of been ridiculous. He makes it interesting. He often makes it interesting. He doesn't have a lot of those 1, 2, 3 dominant nights. But last Sunday in Pittsburgh, he had second and third and nobody out in a 1-run game, and he went strikeout to finish the game. 31 saves is incredible for a guy who, 2 years ago. 3 years ago in 2019 got Rule 5. They didn't think enough of him to protect him from the Rule 5 draft, and he got taken away, but luckily Texas sent him back, and that's the best move they could have made. He has become incredibly reliable and dependable, and that's what you want in a closer. And I at the end of May, when he had like 18 saves or whatever it was, there were still people who were saying to me, man, the Blue Jays still need a closer. And my reaction was, you're kidding, right? They've got one. They're fine. It's really easy to crap on the Jays bullpen because I think people are just so used to doing it.
Sure.
And it cost them a lot last year in April, May, and June. But this is a good bullpen. And this is a bullpen that has like 5 guys that you can depend on. And that's really all you need in the playoffs. So they're in very good shape down there.
I guess people just needed to see it over long term. That they had a hard time believing in right away, but now you should be a believer. And you talk about that doesn't have a lot of perfect innings. I'm a huge Dodger fan. I watch a lot of their games. Kenley Jansen was like that. Kenley Jansen often got himself into a little bit of trouble, but could get himself out of it. Not every closer is Rivera, where you just come in and lock it down, and that's not the worst thing. You don't want it to happen all the time, but some very talented closers go through that, quite often.
Yeah, and it's not nearly as bad as people imagine. When you look at the WHIP, walks and hits per innings pitched, Romano's is like 1 point. Or no, it's below 1. I thought it was 1.1, but it's not. It's 0.99. So in his 53 innings, he's allowed 53 base runners. So it's not like he's putting 2 people on or he's loading the bases in every inning that he comes in and tries to save and gets out of it. He's averaging just under one base runner per inning. Mariano Rivera, for his career, averaged exactly one base runner per inning. Nobody really does significantly better than that on a long-term basis. So it's not a regular thing, but the numbers that Romano's put up are as good as anybody's.
Indeed. Mike Wilner is joining us, columnist, covering the Blue Jays and more for the Toronto Star. You can find him on Twitter at Wilnerness. And those are kind of the cool stories, I think, from the mound. But one of the best and biggest surprises has to be the play behind the plate. I mean, Alejandro Kirk is among the league leaders when it comes to catchers in, a lot of categories. He's one of the leaders in fantasy baseball. And he doesn't have the gaudy home run numbers that guys like JT Realmuto and that, but he gets on base a ton and he doesn't strike out. Is this earlier than you expected for Kirk? Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Like last year, he spent half the season on the injured list, and he hit the snot out of lefties, but he didn't do very well against right-handed pitching. So, at 22 years old, you think, okay, well, this guy's got work to do, and he's got work to do behind the plate in his game. But the bat-to-ball skills have always been elite. The contact skills are incredible. There is power there. It just hasn't really, really emerged. But you knew eventually that if he could stay healthy, and with his body type, that's always a question, especially for catchers. If he could stay healthy, he was going to hit eventually. Was he going to be an all-star this year and one of the best catchers in baseball? Absolutely not. He's way ahead of schedule too, and it's been just such a blessing for the Blue Jays with Danny Jansen having been on the injured list twice and having had trouble getting going his second time coming back from injury, to have a guy like Kirk who not only stabilizes the catching, but who stabilizes the DH on the days he's not catching. It's wonderful. And yeah, it is way ahead of schedule, but he's 23, Vlad's 24 or 23, Bo's 24. This is a Manoah's 24. It's a young group that's ahead of its time in a hurry.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch. And, Bo Bichette just rocking the ball in Baltimore. And it's kind of interesting when you look at this, the wild card standings. If they stay where they are, they face Cleveland. If they sneak into second, they face Tampa. But they could also catch Tampa and host that wild card series. So there's a lot still up for grabs when it comes to this, not to mention what's happening with the Yankees and Tampa Bay. I mean, this AL playoff race is far from over, thanks to the extra teams this year.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to the one extra team. Like if there hadn't been an extra team this year, we would be talking about the Blue Jays being half a game behind Seattle and a game and a half behind Tampa Bay, right? Going into tonight, which is fine. They don't have to sneak in to catch Seattle. They're even with them in the loss column with a game in hand. So they just basically have to play as well as Seattle. They have to be a game better because they lose the tiebreaker. But in the old days, without the extra playoff spot, there would have been a one-game tiebreaker, but now there isn't that anymore. But look, the Blue Jays are a game and a half behind Tampa Bay with 9 games left against Tampa Bay. So their destiny there is firmly within their control. They're only 6 back of the Yankees. That's a stretch because although the Yankees appear to be in free fall, a 6-game lead at this point in the season is pretty healthy. Although it's less healthy over Tampa, who they're playing this weekend. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be really, really, really interesting to watch. So, if they beat out Seattle, they'll go to Tampa Bay. If they beat out Tampa Bay, then they'll host Seattle or Tampa or whoever. It's possible the White Sox are on fire. They could overtake Cleveland and knock Cleveland back into that wild card race. Lots of different things can happen, but there's lots of positioning races for sure. That AL Central race appears as though it's going to get really interesting. So yeah, you sit here on September 9th with less than a month to go in the season, feeling like the Blue Jays are comfortably in a playoff spot. 4.5 games up is comfortable against a team that they're better than in Baltimore. But in the first round of the playoffs, they could still potentially play Seattle or Tampa or Cleveland or Chicago or Minnesota. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that AL Central is pretty wild. Cleveland, Minnesota, Chicago. Minnesota, Chicago, a game and a half back of Cleveland. And I don't know if any of those teams are going to, get in the wild card chase. So it's like basically division or bust. I guess Chicago's 7 back, but one of those 3 teams is going to win that division, and the other 2 are going to be on the outside looking in because, as predicted, pretty strong AL East this year. Who do you think ends up pulling away on that AL Central?
I think it's Cleveland, and I think it's Cleveland because of the schedule, as crazy as it is. The lockout at the end of the season took away that first week, and then put the one series at the end of the year, and the other series people had to make up at points throughout the year. That's why the Jays have 2 5-game series at home against Tampa Bay this year. One of them is next week, but Cleveland plays the last 6 games of the season at home against Kansas City. And, it's unfortunate and it's not fair, but I guess at the end of the day, you're playing the same schedule as the teams in your division. But to have Cleveland hosting Kansas City 6 straight times to end the season, to me, means Cleveland wins the division.
Yeah, it's a tough grind, but it'll make for some exciting baseball. I think everybody is going to have a lot of fun watching this final stretch and where teams end up. But Mike, enjoy it. You're going to have one of the best seats in the house, and we look forward to watching playoff baseball north of the border this year.
Yeah, I'll be sitting out there in deep left field watching every pitch, and it's going to be a blast. And to have a real playoff. For the first time in 6 years, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Excellent. Thanks. Enjoy it.
Thanks for having me.
You betcha. There's Mike Wilner, who covers the Blue Jays and baseball for the Toronto Star, and just fantastic. Arnie, one of the guys in our platform, basically said this is the guy who, got him to fall in love with baseball because Mike was on the postgame show and did a terrific job with that one. So Alex joining the chat saying, looking good, Dino. Can't wait to hear from Mike. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Arnie says, pennant-winning Blue Jays. Really? Larry says, go Jays. Mike, always great stories and insight. And Tony says the Jays should be in. Well, if you listen to Mike, he says they're in. Like 4.5 games, he thinks that should be fine, even though they have 6 more against Baltimore. He thinks they're in already. It's just a matter of where they end up. And who do you want to play? Obviously you'd like to finish as high as possible to get home field and host whoever it is. But if you're not going to do that, wouldn't you rather play like Cleveland or Minnesota or Chicago as opposed to Seattle or Tampa Bay? Arnie says, Yankees fans, feel free to listen to Mike so you know his voice when you cheer for the Jays as they go ahead and play for the World Series. Wow. Arnie thinking the Jays are going to the series. And Alex says, King Willie Game, and Alex says, Space Sluggers love Manoah. We weren't sure we'd get him at 50, but looking back, that's the best pick we made, and I couldn't be happier. Tony says, easy, Arnie. Yeah, Alek Manoah. I mean, look at the Jays that we talked about. Manoah, early. Alejandro Kirk, early. Romano, as strong as he is. Like, we've heard about Bo Bichette. We've heard about Vlad. We've heard about Biggio. They could certainly use a little bit more health, but, man, pretty impressive stuff for this Toronto Blue Jays team. That's been an up-and-down season, no doubt about that. But certainly, they have been much better. 6-1, as he corrected me in September. All right, we're going to have Trademaster 3000 when we come back on the show. This is Ultimate Fantasy Sports Daily. Get your trades in now. Drop them in our Twitch message board, chat view, or hit me up at Duck Millard on Twitter. Alex says, Manoah drafted his 14th pitcher off the board in UFLB. Maybe bumps up a couple of spots with this season. It's been now. Oh, for sure. He's a top 10 pitcher, I think. I don't know. I'd have to look at the numbers. But we'll get set up for Trademaster 3000 when we come back in about 30 seconds time. All right. Thank you very much for sticking with us here on Ultimate Fantasy Sports Daily, coming to you from the Marsh, just outside of Edmonton. Great conversation with Mike Wilner. Covers the Blue Jays, former voice for the Blue Jays. If you missed it, it'll be posted later on today up on our YouTube channel, Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network. You can also find them in audio format. Just search wherever you get your podcasts, Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network. All right, we had a short version of this last Friday, only because we had computer issues and power problems, but really going to hopefully have some fun. Hoping that you guys will send in a few more trade suggestions for Trademaster 3000. Yeah, Arnie of the Royal saying, my official introduction into baseball was through the voices of Howarth and Wilner. There you go. You just got to hear a little Mike Wilner. Nick T VIP, by the way, chiming in on Twitter. Top 3 Adam Sandler movies in honor of the Sandman's 56th birthday. Happy Gilmore, Little Nicky, and That's My Boy. Really, you can interchange all of these along with Billy Madison, Grown Ups, The Waterboy, and Do Over. All hilarious movies. 51st Dates was pretty good too with Drew Barrymore. So the Sandman's 56th birthday, we are doing in honor of him. Tony says 3 water bottles must be vodka for Friday. Yeah, it's like that old Up in Smoke where the judge is drinking vodka. No, it's all water. We're all hydrating here. I don't want to cramp up in the middle of the show and then have to get carried off like LeBron James off the set. Trish will be like carrying me off the set, and we don't want that. Andrea says 51st Dates makes me cry. It is a little bit sad, but it has a great ending. Great ending for sure. All right, let's fire up the old beast and play a little Trademaster 3000. All right, I think it's finally ready to go. So how this works is you send in trade requests to Trademaster 3000. We feed it into the machine, who I have to warn you can be quite salty at times. Just warning you, quite salty. So you feed us the trades, we will feed the machine, and we'll see what happens. The first trade that we have to show you is a trade that went down in Ultimate Fantasy Hockey League. This is a trade that we made, actually, so I'm really interested to see what the machine says. We picked up Axel Anderson, Cole Smith, and Carter Mazur. Mazur, member of Denver, U.S. national team, really, really strong player. And we gave up Jakob Silfverberg to the North Stars. And so the reason we did this is we needed some cap space, and we got younger, and the North Stars trying to get bigger. Silfverberg just under 2 points per game. So let's feed the beast. And from a Duckman's point of view,
that's a crock of crap.
Wow, they do not like the return. Trademaster 3000 thinks that Duckman's domination should have received more. What about from the North Stars? And this is all just random. We just put the randomizer button. So let's see what we got from the North Stars.
I'd buy that for $1.
All righty. There we go. Thanks for the cheers, Tony. Appreciate it. And for everybody joining us, hello. Welcome. This is Trademaster 3000. You can submit your trades. We'll feed the machine. Feel free to scroll down, check out our next shows, our schedule, and all of our social media handles. We are here Monday to Friday. So it likes that trade from a North Stars perspective, does not like it from a Duckman's perspective, and that's okay. North Stars were busy. You might see them a few times on here. How about this is a pretty big one. The Yetis getting in and snagging Sam Bennett. So the Yetis get Carson Soucy and Sam Bennett. The North Stars end up with Yegor Sharangovich, Ryan Lindgren, and Tyson Jost. I'm a fan of Tyson Jost. Family lives in my compound where I am, just outside Edmonton. So nice family. So for the Yetis, they get Carson Soucy and Sam Bennett.
All right.
Well, Trademaster 3000 certainly likes that one. How about from the North Star side? Yegor Sharangovich, Ryan Lindgren, and Tyson Jost. All right. Let's feed the beast. It's taken a while to come back.
What are you people? On dope?
Ooh, not a big fan of that return from the North Stars. So there, you win some, you lose some. Trademaster 3000 continues here on Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network. Still to come, Ross Mongrue. He is the defending champion of the UFAFL. We'll get into some football chat for sure with Ross. Okay, the Battlehawks and the Blades of Steel. The Battlehawks get J.J. Paterka. He used to be a member of our organization. A 2025 second-round pick and over 220,000 score coin. So that's like cash adding to a deal. That's the official currency of our league. What do you think of this trade? The Blades of Steel get Dylan Larkin and a first-round pick. So, from the Battlehawks point of view, here's this trade.
0.0.
It's not like that trade from a Battlehawks point of view, but from a Blades of Steel point of view, they are getting Dylan Larkin. Here we go. Feed the machine.
I said we got a winner.
Definitely likes that trade. And this one was submitted to us from Gord of Thunder on Twitter. This next one is actually quite fun. You've got this is a trade that was made in 2000 between the Islanders and the Panthers. The Florida Panthers get Roberto Luongo and Olli Jokinen, and the Islanders get Mark Parrish and Oleg Kavasha. Let's feed the beast.
Well, we're waiting.
We already gave you the trade. I don't know why you sent that. That makes no sense to come back with that response. So, Luongo and Olli Jokinen to the Panthers. Trademaster 3000.
Dynamite!
Huge. That's huge.
Wow, it really likes that trade. Now, from a Islanders point of view, what is the thought process?
Denied.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Who'd you talking about?
All right. Trademaster 3000, not a big fan of that one as well. Larry Fisher, lots of blockbusters in the UFHL lately. Always fun to see Trademaster 3000's reaction. Salty. He's definitely salty. But hey, what are you going to do? You're missing, you have to get the good with the bad with Trademaster 3000. Just checking in to see if we have any late entries coming in for this one. And we will get back to some fantasy sports talk here on Ultimate Fantasy Sports Daily. So that's a wrap up for Trademaster 3000. Time to shut things down. The computer, it only can run for about 10 minutes a day. All right. Fun segment. Something that we used to do on late night radio. And every once in a while, you get a flurry of trades coming in. Trust me, when we did it with the Oilers, it was like Jesse Puljujarvi in every single trade that would come in for sure. My name's Dean Millard. This is Ultimate Fantasy Sports Daily. To everybody new joining us on Twitch channel, thank you so much for being here. Hit like, subscribe, follow us. If you don't like commercials, you can get a subscription to the channel and you get commercial-free programming. We are here Monday to Friday, 4 to 6 p.m., talking fantasy sports. We had some awesome guests this week. Matt Beauvais out of Buffalo basically nailed the Gabe Davis prediction last night to start the season. Mike McKenna yesterday gave you all the goods on goalies when it comes to fantasy hockey. Andy McNamara, Jamie Thomas, Larry Fisher. You can catch it all on our YouTube channel, Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network. And if you're looking for the audio format, just search Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network wherever you find your podcasts. All right, so we got to some our top stories. Now let's get to some Major League Baseball news, and then we'll get to some top shelf fantasy performers before we bring in Ross Mongrue, Carlos. Oh, actually, you know what I want to do first? Before that, I don't know where my Carlos Correa video went. Here it is. So I want to ask this question because Carlos Correa looked good last night for the Twins. Let's see if this video works.
Hicks is back. It's gone. A home run. A drive to left field. Hicks is back. It's gone. A home run. Correa delivers in the eighth, and the Twins take a 2-run lead.
So Carlos Correa, he surprised everybody last year. When he decided
a dramatic 2-run home run by Carlos Correa in the eighth
to sign with the Twins. Spurned the Yankees, and he hit the go-ahead home run last night. Remember that offseason, the Twins got the Yankees to take Josh Donaldson so that they could sign Correa. And I don't think it's been a banner first year in Minnesota for Correa. The question is, will it be his last? 3 years, $105 million deal in the offseason, spurning the Yankees and others. And he can opt out at the end of this season. So we throw a poll question up at Ultimate Fantasy Sports Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network. Carlos Correa. By the way, the Warhawks loving it last night. Where will he play next year? The Twins, the Yankees, the Astros, or other? It's tied right now between the Twins and the Yankees. So other is leading at 42.9% of the vote, but nobody's chiming in where. So chime in at UFS Network or just right on our Twitch message board here. Where do you think Correa ends up next year? Does he stay in Minnesota for the remaining 2 years? And he can opt out after the next year as well. So we'll have some fun with this one. Maybe Blue Jays fans are going to chime in. And it's interesting. He spurns the Yankees, and now the Yankees, they could have contributed to knocking them out of the playoff race. If the Yankees can hold on. Bigger collapse, Yankees or Mets? Well, I guess the Yankees haven't fully collapsed. The Mets, I think, are a game and a half back. All right. When we come back, we are going to chat with Ross Mongrue. He does a lot of things, this man. He is the GM for Legion, the defending champions in Ultimate Fantasy American Football League. He is also the head of horse racing for UFFS, which you can get in a fun league. We'll tell you about that. And he's the design extraordinaire. A lot of cool logos he's done. He did our East End logo for the Ultimate Fantasy World Juniors. So that's coming up next. And by request, we just had a request for a little intermission fun. As I get Ross set up, just for you, Maria, here is Mean Mascots. Ross Mongrue on the other side. Enjoy the fun of mascots dominating on the football field. Ross is actually going to join us in 20 minutes. So apologize for that. I got mixed up with the times. Larry says, Ross the boss, hopefully he shows up with some Legion bling in the form of a championship ring. That would be nice, actually, to see the some sort of championship bling on Ross's body, or even in the background. I still have, I won our fantasy football league last year that Jamie is our commissioner, Jamie Thomas. I still haven't picked up the trophy. That's kind of a foul. That's championship foul. Okay, really quickly, we're going to do our Columbus Blue Jackets team preview in this segment, and then we'll bring Ross on at 5:20. But how about the look from the truculent Owls in the Ultimate Fantasy American Hockey League? Oh, you didn't know we had AFL or AHL hockey? Yeah, we're out to do every league possible. So this is the I'll get the ticker out of the way for a second. This is the AHL Farm Club of the Brutes. There's the Brutes logo right there in the bottom next to the UFHL. And this is inspired by Brian Burke. And it's just such a cool design with from the tie to everything. So high-end work on the truculent Owls. Jesse Gill is the owner of that franchise. Just amazing work. You can find all of our teams, and you can buy all of the stuff, logos if you'd like as well, at UFFsports.com. Just click in the shop. And starting next week, we're actually going to have some trivia, some giveaways, some contests where you can get your hands on some of this very cool merch. All right, so there's the truculent Owls of the American Hockey League, the Ultimate Fantasy American Hockey League, starting this season. Let's get to the Columbus Blue Jackets now from a fantasy perspective. And obviously some turnover this year for the Columbus Blue Jackets as they really shook things up, signing Johnny Gaudreau. They're going for it. They surprised everybody. They basically stole Johnny Gaudreau out from underneath the noses of like the Philadelphia Flyers. So obviously Johnny Hockey is going to be the focal point, and like he was in Calgary, one of the top 3 stars. I went with Patrick Laine second. He's kind of inconsistent. He's the 1 year in Winnipeg, he didn't score for like 3 months. But he's going to have, one of the best passers along with Zach Werenski, who's there as well. So I think Laine is going to bounce back. I think Columbus is going to be good. I think they're going to add some pieces. So the West Coast Express, wicked logo, a little bit of a head tap or a tip of the hat to that great line that was nicknamed the West Coast Express for the Vancouver Canucks. Laine is a member of the Generals. And, it's funny, the Generals, we've actually talked to the Generals in our league about trading for Patrick Laine at times. I think it's smart that they've held on to him because I think he's going to have a rebound season. And Zach Werenski, excellent defenseman, no longer with Seth Jones there, and no longer on the Stingrays in UFAHL. The Gators picked him up. As for a breakout player, I'm with Mike McKenna. Yesterday, Mike McKenna on this show picked Jonas Korpisalo as a guy from that division to watch. Now, when you look at the numbers last year, Korpisalo didn't play near as many games as Elvis Merzlikins. Probably butchered that name. I think that changes this year. I think he's about to break out, and the Battlehawks would love that. And then you see the Generals again there with Jake Bean as my sleeper. Injuries are going to happen. Jake Bean's in a third pairing, but could pick up some points for you. So, bit of a sleeper pick. Larry says this Columbus roster has a lot of potential, keyword being potential. Now, this is what Dobber Hockey is going with as far as line combos that they're looking at. Now, obviously, Alexander Tessier is not there, so this is going to need to be updated a little bit. But you have Jack Roslovic, who came over with Laine and Johnny Gaudreau. That's a not bad line. I think Roslovic has a lot more to give. Probably has frustrated some fantasy owners over the years. Does Patrick Laine take a run at 50 this year? Is this the year that he takes a run at 50? Cole Sillinger, terrific rookie season last year. 20 goals in a rookie season. That is fantastic. It was just so hot.
He's hot. He is hot. Keep feeding that guy.
And then you got Jake Voracek, still a pretty good passer. Can pack on the assists when he needs to. I'm not crazy about the rest of that bottom six. I think there's, obviously Kent Johnson's going to be a star, but Kent Johnson's not going to be a star on the fourth line this year. Maybe Kent Johnson doesn't even play in Columbus this year. I just don't know. Like, I would have picked Kent Johnson as a breakout player. I just don't know if he's going to get the ice time to do it. Just like we talked about, with Dylan Holloway and the Oilers. I guess you could move Kent Johnson up into that Tessier spot. And I would start him there. So if he gets that bump, then he's definitely a breakout candidate. Decent blue line. Gaudreau's buddy, Goodbranson, is there. And then the goaltending. The forecast is for Ms. Lurkins to keep going. I'm going to make a prediction. This was, this could have fit yesterday with bold predictions. Jonas Korpisalo is my breakout player when it comes to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Also, Larry says, love those truculent Owls uniforms. Somebody said the Darks look like Ninja Turtles. A nice throwback. I think it was Mojo that designed those too. He's done some great stuff. So the truculent Owls. So what do you think about this Columbus Blue Jackets team? Obviously, there's potential, as Larry said. But from a fantasy point of view, how deep do you go in Columbus? I think you are... If you got Kent Johnson on the second line, I think you can go two lines. You can draft two lines deep off this team. Boone Jenner scores 20 goals last year. Is that going to happen again? That's a bit of a gamble, maybe. And then the blue line, you got Werenski, obviously. Boqvist could be a 40-point guy. Goodbranson fills out some different categories, especially if hits and penalty minutes are something in your league. So I'd say two lines, two defensemen, and then Boone Jenner later. Providing I'm talking about Kent Johnson in the top six. But I don't know if Kent Johnson is going to have the same sort of impact similar to what the name is escaping. Mason McTavish might have possibly in Anaheim. That's the question. Is Kent Johnson going to get that playing time? Certainly, if you're in a dynasty league and Kent Johnson is available, take him. Don't take him early, but put him on your list. I think Mason McTavish is going to, be a candidate for the Rookie of the Year this year. William Eklund. I'm not sure Kent Johnson, we'll have to see. He has the skill. Will he get the playing time with that Columbus team to be able to break through enough and get enough ice time and get enough. We saw the skill that this guy had. If you watch the summer showcase of that World Junior, or the summer showcase, the summer edition of that World Junior, he scored the game winner, but he had all kinds of chances. The guy is a skill machine. Mason McTavish is a guy that, you could probably play anywhere in your lineup. I think Kent Johnson has to play in your top two lines. And if he's not in your top two lines, he should be in the, wherever, American Hockey League or wherever, coming out of college so he can play in the American Hockey League. Him and McTavish played everywhere last year. So we saw Kent Johnson play against men in several situations. I would be penciling him in a top 6 role in Columbus then, after what we saw. But if he's not in a top 6 role, then he should be in the American Hockey League. What does Craig Button always says? The National Hockey League is not a training ground. So I see the potential in goal. Korpisalo as my breakout player. And like I said, I'd go top 6 and down. Now, if you're in a massive league where everybody has depth, like the UFHL, then you're going to be looking at some of the other players. But if you're in a normal, regular points league or whatever it is, and if goals are more, then obviously you're taking Laine. But I would still take Johnny Gaudreau ahead of Laine. Johnny Gaudreau is probably going to put up 100-plus points. I don't see Patrick Laine. Laine might get 50 goals. If you think Laine can get 50 goals, then you would do that. Otherwise, if Laine gets 80 points and Gaudreau gets over 100, Patrick Laine is going to have to get over 50 goals to make up that point difference, in my opinion. So if you're in your league, I would definitely be putting Gaudreau first, then Laine. Now, obviously depends on the parameters of your league and certain things like that. But not as many choices when you look at some other teams. I mean, we did that Boston Bruins team, and and we talked to Mike McKenna yesterday. I was totally on board with the Jeremy Swayman pick that he made, because I picked Jeremy Swayman as a breakout player. That Boston team, you could throw a dart and hit a fantasy player. Not so much on this Columbus team. Arizona we did. Anaheim, still another team that is going to be good for fantasy, but not good in the real world. And not every team that's really good in the real world is good for fantasy. So you have to, obviously, you can't just snap your fingers and look at the standings and go from there. So that is the Dobber Hockey preview. Dobber Hockey presenting our NHL previews. We are definitely hoping to get somebody from Dobber Hockey on this show more regularly. We'd really like to get somebody like Mike McKenna. So we're working hard for you, looking for sponsors of these segments, these people. Obviously, their time is valuable. So we are working hard. If you definitely are interested in becoming a sponsor of the show and sponsoring a segment, certainly reach out at UFS Network or info at UFFsports.com. We'll bring up the contact information right now. If you would like to reach out to us about anything, info at UFF Sports is probably the best way that you can do that. All right, still to come, final 2 segments. We will speak with Ross Mongrue, who is the GM of the reigning champions in the Ultimate Fantasy American Football League. Legion won it all last year. We'll find out what happened in their offseason. Ross is also big time into our racing, whether it's horse racing, VR1. So we'll touch on a little bit of that. A little bit of everything with Ross Mongrue, who also designs some amazing logos, including that logo that you see on the screen there, Ultimate Fantasy Sports Daily. Short break. We're back with Ross Mongrue after this. Thanks for sticking with us. What do we have for you on this break? Oh, here we go. Check out how you can get involved in the Ultimate Crypto Racing Championship. This is going to be awesome.
Get yourselves ready to race at great heights to become the global sim racing champion. Create your crypto livery. Enter with the best designs. Enter to win prizes. Outrace your competition. Winning is all that matters. Watch the other racers in your rear view mirror. Gain massive exposure battling against the biggest names in crypto with a season-long race for the championship. Bring glory to your token. Drive like a champion, win it all. Be first or last. If you're not rubbing, you're not racing. Get behind the wheel and drive for your project. Just past 5:20 p.m. Eastern Time, 3:20 out in the Mountain Time Zone where I'm located. My name is Dean Millard. This is Ultimate Fantasy Sports Daily coming to you from the Marsh just outside of Edmonton. Happy Friday. Hope everybody is excited, ready for another great weekend of college football. An awesome first weekend of the National Football League. The baseball playoffs continue. There's just a massive amount of stuff going on. And really excited to bring in our next guest. I know he's excited about the football season getting underway because he is the defending champion, Ross Mongrue. The defending champ. The champ is in the house, the GM of Legion. Do you ever get sick of hearing that? Oh, I can't hear you, Ross. I don't know why I can't hear you. I might need you to log out and log back in again and just make sure you have your headphones plugged in before you do that. So unfortunately, we'll get Ross. That's the weird thing about being your own producer and director is you don't really get a chance to chat with the people before they come on the show. So Ross will get him logged out and logged back in. We will, as soon as he comes back online, we will get him back on the show. In the meantime, let's talk about what your favorite sports time of the year is. Is it now where you have everything going at the same time? Football, basketball, baseball, and hockey soon, all at once? Is it the spring when the playoffs in basketball and the NHL wrap up? The other thing about that is there's no football. You obviously got spring training, but there's there's CFL football. I shouldn't say that. There's no NFL, and there's no college. All right, I don't know. We might be having a problem getting Ross on the show.
we'll hopefully be able to get him back on because he is, as I mentioned, the defending champion when it comes to the Ultimate Fantasy American Football League. While we wait for Ross to log back in, we were talking about Carlos Correa earlier and what might happen with Carlos Correa. Let's check out some other Major League Baseball news that could have a fantasy impact. Having a problem connecting with Mr. Mongrue. So anyway, while we wait to get Ross back up, the Yankees have placed DJ LeMahieu on the IL, and they activated Nestor Cortez. The Twins beat the Yankees yesterday thanks to that Correa go-ahead home run. The Yankees lead down to the American League in the American League East at 4.5 games, the smallest that it has been since May. Tampa Bay coming to the Bronx this weekend for a 3-game set. This could be amazing. And no DJ LeMahieu. Infield star. Oh, I think we got Ross back now. Let's see if we can hear. Yeah, I think we do. All right, let's bring him in now. Ross Mongrue, defending champion of UFHL, UFAFL. I can hear you. I can hear you, Ross. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. How does it ever get old hearing the words defending champion?
No. I'll let you know if it ever comes to that, but I don't see it ever happening.
What did you do in terms of celebrating your title? Are you a big celebrator? Did you take the trophy out for dinner? Did you wear your rings around? Are you a bling guy? What was it like this off-season of celebration?
It was great. We spent the whole off season getting ready for next season.
No celebrating? Like no days off like Belichick or what?
I mean, I hired 2 new GMs who I'm really excited about. These guys have whooped me in every league I've ever played with them in, and their names are Scott Cairo and Kurt Prince, and I mean they both are just lights out when it comes to fantasy and managing dynasty leagues as it comes. So we're really excited about getting forward. But as far as celebrating, I had a beer out of the huge cup that they sent me, so that was about as far as it went. Okay, well that's it. You're all business. And last year, you were 12-5. You benefited, I'm guessing, from beating up on the Gladiators, the Resistance, but you beat who you had to beat to get that record. I wouldn't say beaten up, because I think I went. I think the only team that I think we're in one of the toughest divisions in the league right now. Wow! And Cam West has done nothing but get better in the offseason, along with the Kingsmen. And the Resistance, they're the thorn in our side. Last year, every time we played them, it was a nail biter. And but like I said, I truly believe that this is one of the toughest divisions in the league. Yeah. John Madden Conference South, 12-5 record last year. You go into the playoffs on a 4-game winning streak. Let's just chat a little bit about. If you go back to that, Dean. If you look at the points for in the division, you'll see that it's all high scoring guys. Let's take a look at your team now then from last year, and you can tell us a little bit about who the stars were, who got you where you needed to go. As we kind of scroll down and Lamar Jackson obviously was your quarterback, but take us through your roster. And when he went down, we kind of were like, oh, what now? But then Tyler Huntley came in and just was lights out for us as well. A lot of these guys, we've had a lot of movement this year, and a lot of these guys are no longer with us. They're on other teams. I would say a big contributor for us was Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals. He was unstoppable last year. I want to say he was probably third or fourth, as it is for edge rushers in the league for points scored. And he was a big contributor to us winning. And of course, Michael Pittman had a great year last year. DJ Moore had a great year last year. Joshua Jacobs is another great one for us. We're excited to see what our new crop, what we're going to produce this year as well.
Well, okay, so what was the biggest need, the biggest concern, the biggest thing you wanted to get done in the offseason, and then we'll bring in your new roster?
Our number one target was to get another powerhouse running back, I'd say. And then after that, after that trade, of course, we knew we were going to need to fill the spot that we traded away, which was a defensive end, and we did that as well. So we're excited to see what happens.
I should point out as well, not only are you the GM of the defending champions, you also head up our horse racing division, which we're really excited about. You're really into our crypto VR1 racing, and you design a lot of logos. You designed our East End logo. You designed that logo on the screen right now. So you are definitely all in on a lot of different things. Was this the first logo that you did?
League that we're
that's right.
Now,
right. Was this your first logo?
We are very excited about the F1 League. So if we have any F1 fans out there, definitely stay tuned for that.
Was this your first logo that you did in the league?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I like it. So let's talk about the team then. Off season, going into this season, expectations. Everybody wants to win. Repeating is hard. What's it going to be like for the champs?
So with the off seasons that some of the big budget teams have, we know we won't be at the top going into the playoffs. If we make the playoffs, we didn't get to spend like some of the other teams, so our average won't be up there with them. But we believe that all we got to do is make the dance, and like last year, if we make the dance, we can make it happen.
So week one, I'm trying to find. There you go. Oh, you're up against your Achilles heel. Like how the NFL had their schedule perfectly with all these rematches. The UFAFL exactly the same, mirrors it with your, its biggest, the elephants, you get a thorn in their foot, they get really irritated, and you're facing a massive amount of elephants in this first matchup. Did it get off to an okay start for you last night, or was it 0-0?
No. Not at all. So I will say the Rams won us a championship last year, but last night they did us no favors. As far as offensive linemen go, I think the Rams will probably be one of the worst offensive line scorers in the first week. We had both of our Rams wide receivers, which is Van Jefferson and the newcomer to the Rams, Lance McCutcheon, who was lights out in preseason. Neither one of them suited up last night. So it's just like everything that could have went wrong last night went wrong.
At least you didn't have Cam Akers. Like imagine Cam Akers did 3 carries last night. That would have been on top of it. Like if you have Cam Akers, your fantasy football season could not have started off worse.
Yeah, I think his ADP is like in the 6th round right now, 5th, 6th round, and Henderson's ADP was somewhere in the teens.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the people that were grabbing Henderson in the teens, they're to the moon right now. But for the guys who spin up for Akers, ouch, for sure.
Well, and that's fantasy, right? Is, you got to ride the waves. And, I can't remember a couple of years ago when the Chiefs started out, I had Sammy Watkins in my lineup, which tells you how it wasn't that great, but he went off, and that was the only thing.
Week one, you were great.
Week one,
he probably scored like 40 points.
That's exactly what happened. He went off, and then it was like his production was like the rest of the way.
Yep.
And so,
Classic Sammy.
We all think that Cam Akers better end up out producing, but it's the overreactions of week one that you can start freaking out and filing a lawsuit over Cam Akers of playing time and things like that. That first night, that very first game, and I wish the NFL would go back to double Monday night games because I love that, but that first game is always fun to see the overreactions the next day, especially on social media.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can see it now, the amount of if you go on Sleeper, I would love to see the minuses on Cam Akers, if that's the thing.
Oh, no kidding. Okay, so I want to talk. You're a busy guy, as I mentioned. You design a lot of logos. You did a lot of design work on our Ultimate Crypto Racing Championship, and you mentioned F1. So tell a little bit about the people watching that are racing fans, how cool this is that they have an opportunity to get involved with, and how fun it is to design those cars.
Oh, I mean, it's a blast. It's real tedious, but the fact that we're going to be having competitions for it and people are going to be able to, it's a lot of trial and error when it comes to working with that program, whether it be the free program GIMP or a Photoshop. If you're familiar with Photoshop, you'll definitely have no problem with it. But it's going to be great because you're going to design a car for your community, and there's a chance that your car could be the design that your community uses in VR1. I mean, how cool is that, right? You can't get better than that. Full community involvement, and then also your communities are also going to be looking for drivers. And if you have any experience with sim racing, I mean, you're automatically going to go to the front of the line.
This is so cool. I've been so excited about this project, and our college football fantasy league has me watching more and more racing and getting into it. And this is what it does. I mean, fantasy for me is, I watch all sports based on my fantasy players. If I don't have somebody in that particular game, I honestly find I don't have as much interest in it. So this is going to bring real life and blend it with fantasy and virtual reality and everything else. So these projects are getting me excited about the real world sports of those. And I think people should be really excited about the opportunity to get the exposure that their projects can get through these vehicles. Pardon the pun.
100%. 100%. And that's what we're aiming for. When this project got brought to us, we automatically thought it was a home run, so, and getting the amount of community involvement that we're, community reaction that we're getting from it, it's just outstanding, man. And yeah. It definitely seems like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm sure looking forward to it. It's been a blast just seeing the progress already. Now, you're also involved in a different kind of racing, and this is horse racing, and this is something that we also are hoping to plan. There's a lot of work goes into this stuff, but you guys are doing something fun in our Telegram group where people can kind of get a feel of what it's like. First of all, what do you love about the ponies, and how excited are you about this project?
Oh, super excited. I've been working on fantasy horse racing since about 2017, I want to say. Wow. And had a great idea. We started doing it, believe it or not, at my work. And we did it every year for like 3 or 4 years, and just followed the prep races, and we did a draft, we came up with a point system and everything. And basically, once I got involved with, UFF, all of it kind of just fit. The way we do our scouting, the way we manage teams, everything. I was just like, this could be a home run for the horse racing fantasy if we can make it work on here. And a lot of speed bumps have been hit on this project. I will say that when it comes to getting the approval for racing results from the big tracks. But the ones we need are on board, and they love the idea, and we can't wait to get it going. We're actually going to be starting the test league for the horse race for HFR1. Oh God, it's way up. There's so many. You see that? I just said every project.
That's right.
One.
That's right.
But UFHR, which is Ultimate Fantasy Horse Racing, is starting our test league next week, and we'll be running our draft. Will probably begin within the next couple of days. And then our first prep race will actually be the weekend of the 17th and 18th. So it's right around the corner. And if anyone would like to get in on the test league, if you're interested in trying it out, check us out on our Telegram chat. I can post that. You can actually follow us on Twitter at Ultimate Fantasy Horse Racing, and you can direct message me there, and we can get you signed up. And there's no limit to how many stables, so we're taking on anybody who wants to be in.
Awesome. I can't wait for it. I love going to the track, spending a Saturday down there, and being involved in fantasy takes it to
100%.
a whole nother level. Hey man, good luck defending the championship. I'm a defending champion too, so this is a good champion to champion conversation.
It takes one to know one, I guess.
That's right. Yeah. Right. Now mine's just a 16 team league, not a 32 like yours. I didn't have, and I don't have O-linemen. So bravo to you for steering the good ship Legion
we all need
to a championship. That's right. Thanks a lot, man. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. And I can't wait to chat with you again.
Later, buddy.
Okay, there's Ross Mongrue. He is a design expert, GM of the Legion, champions of the UFAFL. Awesome part. Hey, we asked you about your favorite parts of the season. Arnie says start of the NHL, start of the UFHL, then favorite part of the season is winning the league. Well, he would know. He did that last year with the Royals. By the way, do you ever get really excited when you get a trade sent to you? Like I just got a trade sent to me in hockey. Oh man, what if I put it up to the camera? You would almost see it. No, I can't show you the trade that was offered to me, but it gets me really excited. I don't think I'm going to do this trade. There's going to be some back and forth, but do you get really excited when an offer comes in? I do. It's like, oh, action. It's just like when I check Puckpedia every day when Phil Kessel wasn't signed. Every day, refresh. So I think it's kind of cool. It's like you've got trade instead of you got mail. I like getting those trade requests, and there's been so much wheeling and dealing. Like we went from 32nd, we rose up. Now we're actually thinking of maybe selling off a bit again. Hey, you got to go with the market. You got to flow. You got to be flexible. You got to be able to pivot sometimes. It's all about being ahead of the game in fantasy, especially in a league like the Ultimate Fantasy Hockey League, Duckman's Domination. We're a salary cap league, full 32 rosters, full salary cap, everything. You got to abide like the dude, and you got to make sure you're under the cap. I wasn't. That's why we traded Jakob Silverberg, because we had to get under the cap this year and next year. Bo Horvat's going to need a raise. You always have to be thinking ahead in a salary cap league. And if not, you're done. You're dust. You are toast. If you do not look ahead in a salary cap league,
what we've got here is failure to communicate.
All right. Duck out for our last commercial break, last little break. We don't really run commercials. We will at some point. But let's see if this will work again. No. I'm going to have to load that up. And what Gabe Davis did last night was predicted 2 days ago on this program. So when we come back, we will get to games of the night and top shelf fantasy performers from last evening in fantasy baseball. This is Ultimate Fantasy Sports Daily. We're back in a second. Final segment of the week coming up on Ultimate Fantasy Sports Daily. Really fun show. Fun shows this week, but a great one today as well. We'll be putting together a little best of the week that we'll be running on Saturdays at some point. But here is why you should listen and watch this show to help win your league. Unfortunately, that is not the right item. I think like that's strike three. So we're gonna give that one a rest. I don't know what happened in that transfer, but obviously the wrong file was transferred over. So anyway, what did we have to get to? We will get to right now top shelf. Oh, actually, this is what we didn't get to finish as we were bringing Ross on. We're talking about DJ LeMahieu on IL. Nestor Cortez coming back. So at least the Yankees will get their all-star lefty back. Or they did yesterday. He was out just a little bit more than the 15 days. He had a bad groin. And he started well. 12 up, 12 down. Got into some trouble. Got the hook just short of 60 pitches. But he didn't make any rehab starts in his return. So that wasn't really too much of a surprise. Herman is likely to be the guy out of the rotation with Cortez coming back, and Luis Severino supposed to be coming back from his lat strain in the next little while. As for the Yankees facing the Rays, they will face everybody's favorite wanderer, Mr. Franco. Tampa expected to activate him from the injured list today. Might have already actually happened. He comes back. He broke a bone, his hamate bone, which is in the hand, in the final series against the first place Yankees. So this is so huge. He's been out since July 9th. He tried in mid-August, but was still bothering him, so he had to wait almost 3 more weeks to get back. Started his rehab assignment on the weekend. 6 for 11 since then. So I think he's ready. This is going to be massive for the Rays. They have been good, but Taylor Walls has not been the answer as far, and nobody expected him to be in replacing Franco, but you just want a little bit of offense. Like, you just can't be all defense. The lead is just 4.5 games as they start a 3-game series, and Wander Franco is coming back. Freddie Peralta left his start last night in the 3rd inning. The velo was down, his shoulder was sore and tired, and so they're expected to put him on the 15-day IL, which will keep him out of action through September 23rd. He'll only be able to make 3 more starts during the regular season. That's tough for the Brewers. That is tough. They're losing the NL race to St. Louis, trailing them with 8 games, and they're 2.5 games out of the wild card spot in the National League, behind the Phillies and the Padres. So that's tough. And how about the competition committee meeting to vote on changes today? Pitch clock, larger bases, limits on pickoffs, and shifting. And these are all going to go through because MLB has 6 of the 11 people on the committee, 5 for the union, 1 for umpires. So it's going to be interesting. My favorite thing is getting rid of the shift. I absolutely hate it. And I'm sorry. I think I'd love if every player could hit around the shift, but they can't. And until we start teaching our baseball players to hit it everywhere instead of just trying to hit it up in the air, the shift is, you can't have the shift. It's baseball's version of the trap. The NHL got rid of the trap. The NHL opened it up. Basketball has opened it up. Football has opened it up. Baseball, get rid of the gosh darn trap. We don't swear.
What are we?
Werewolves, not squirrels.
So I can't wait for them to ban the shift. I am going to pop the biggest champagne bottle you've seen. I am so happy. I hate the shift. And hate is a strong word, but I really do hate the shift. As if the shift kicked my dog. It's the trap. And it sucks. So I really hope they do end up getting rid of that. Because it has sucked hits out of baseball. And you need entertainment. I watched Kansas City the other night. It was like a cavern. The stadium was empty. I don't know what the attendance was, but 60,000 seat stadiums, when you have 15,000 or 10,000, looks horror awful. So get rid of the trap. There'll be more excitement. People will come back. People do not go to the ballpark to see base hits snagged by 3 fielders on the right side. They don't. They want to see hits, great defense where you're diving, not hitting it right at a guy. So Major League Baseball is getting it right by getting rid of the shift because their teams have sucked the life out of baseball, and Theo Epstein is trying to fix it. Now, you might not think bigger bases is going to automatically lead to more steal attempts, But as it goes, you will. Why? Because managers are going to see that you're going to be safe more often because the base is closer to you. So maybe for the first quarter, first half of next season with bigger bases, you might not see steal attempts way up, but as you go, you will. That is only going to increase your fantasy players' value. Stolen bases are a lost art form in fantasy and in regular baseball. So you might see, as the season goes on, an uptick in that because managers are going to say, hey, the base is that much closer to my guy, he can get there. This is the best news I've seen, that they are going to look into getting rid of, like, pitch clock. Yeah, we need to shorten up games. For me, I love sitting at the ballpark, but there's people that are not going to watch baseball if it continues to be too long. We've known that for a long time. Limits on pickoffs, I don't like, because you're just giving the runner an advantage. Once they know you can't pick them off anymore, they'll go halfway out. What are you going to do? I do not like limiting pickoffs, but I do love limiting the shift. Ban the shift. Please get rid of it. Okay, before we get to top performers, we have our first ever matchup in the Ultimate Fantasy Women's Basketball Association. This is very, very cool. Actually, I thought we had a graphic for that, but doesn't look like we do, unfortunately. Oh, yeah, sorry. Give me a second and I will get this loaded up because this is really exciting. We started the Ultimate Fantasy Women's Basketball Association, and I've been getting excited about how these playoffs have been going. I mean, Chelsea Gray's game the other day, it was next level. It was literally next level. So now we have the final. The Sparrows are moving on as the number 4 seed overall. They took out the Aurora, the number 1 seed, behind another huge performance from their stars, Candace Parker, Courtney Vandersloot. 579-516 was the final in favor of the Birds. They'll face the Bull City Blazers. The Blazers, they're coming in hot. They're also moving on as the 2nd seed, beating the Diamond Arrows, the number 3 seed, despite the Arrows getting big performances from Jonquel Jones, Kalia Copper, and Alyssa Thomas in Game 5. Final score much tighter, 877 to 776.5 in favor of the Blazers. First game of the UFWBA Finals is on Sunday afternoon. Show Ali has done a fantastic job with that. All right, let's get to some top shelf fantasy performers from last night. And Corbin Burns of the Brewers with a big 24-point night. Unfortunately for the Prairie Wheat Sox, who have Corbin Burns, one of their players gave up a couple of long balls as a pitcher, and they got docked for it. So, tough one for the Wheat Sox. The Prairie Wheat Sox, one of the best logos. But Burns, last night for the Brewers, who, as mentioned, don't have Peralta, went 8 strong, so he gets the quality start because he only gave up 1 earned run, 3 hits, also picks up the win, and struck out 14. Ooh, doggy. .375 whip. That was pretty impressive. A lot of the pitchers, Dylan Cease actually also had a pretty good night. 18.5 points. This one came in late against the A's. That's why I didn't have it. But Cease went 6 innings, gets the quality start with the win, just gives up 3 hits, no earned runs, and a obviously ERA of none, and a .833 whip. That's pretty impressive. The rest of the guys, though, on this list were hitters. And Johan Moncada of the White Sox and Orbit leading the way with a 23-point night. 5 for 6, 3 runs, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. 2.833 OPS. How about Yadier Molina? We were talking. Yadier, is of the Reapers, and we were talking about Molina yesterday on the show when he hit 2 home runs during the game. His 324th with battery mate Adam Wainwright. So Wayne Lena went off yesterday for a 16-point game. 2 home runs, 2 for 4, 2 runs, 3 RBIs, 2.5 OPS. And Romy Gonzalez of the Warhawks, a 13-point night. He goes 4 for 5, 3 runs scored thanks to a home run and 3 RBIs. He also struck out once, so that's a little bit less. 2.40 for Mr. Gonzalez. All right. That is a wrap for this week. What a fun week we had. If you missed any of our shows this week, check them out on YouTube. Just search Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network. You can also find all of our programs in audio format. Just search Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network. Here's how you can get a hold of us on Twitter at UFS Network or at UFF Sports. At UFF Sports Official on Instagram. The website is uffsports.com, and if you'd like to send us an email, it's info@uffsports.com. Thanks so much for joining us this week. It's been a lot of fun. A big thanks to Jamie Thomas, executive producer of our Twitch channel, for lining up some incredible guests. We'll try to keep it going, and we will be back on Monday. Have yourself a wonderful, fun, and safe weekend, everybody. Especially be safe out there. Thank you very much. Take care, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.